Hello Internet, I'm curator of all things Jallomoth, curator of all things Jallomoth, curator of all things freaky Jallomoth, of all things Moth. Curious. I'm on a slow journey to rank every Courage the Cowardly Dog villain, one video at a time, to decide who holds the title of the most curious. And I think it's safe to say that to do that, we need to talk about RAM KINGSEYS. I think we're ready. It's been long enough. I jest, but the reality is that many people out there were or are deeply disturbed today. Last year we were Freaky Fred. I told you to cover Jallomoth and gauze. Next, and a majority of you chose RAM KINGSEYS of Seaswamp, which I knew would absolutely happen. This mummy is potentially the most scary mummy to ever air, not only on Cartoon Network, but on Cartoon Network. Sure, a lot of other shows like Flapjack, Invader Zim, and Jujutsu Kaisen, even Adventure Time, definitely had a lot of horror elements, but they were absolutely by no means horror shush. Courage, on the other hand, what? Oh, and no episode to me better exemplifies this than RAM KINGSEYS' curse. This episode is so horror-heavy and so loud in the jokes that I think it's actually kind of shush. Most Courage episodes walk this tightrope between comedy and horror, but this, potentially more than any other, fell off.
Return the slabs, or suck my cock.
Our story starts with two ancient artifacts making away with an kitty from a grave robbing expedition, a stone tablet from the tomb of RAM of all things KINGSEYS. But the fuzz is hot on their cock in the middle of nowhere, and with their option, they bury the thing under the only slab in sight, the horror house. Courage hears some ruckus outside at the time, and sees some commotion that night, but decides it's in his best interest to check it out that night. What he didn't see that night was something that happened that night up the road. A mysterious dark fog rolls in that night, blocking the grave robber's path, and suddenly, a tall man in gauze emerges from the smoke to demand that they return the slabs or suck his cock. The cats respond, "What cock?" And an locusts descends on the pair and eats them alive, not even leaving their cock unsucked. Curious. The police helicopter blows his cock that night, right over the ashen remains of the two on the slab, and the mysterious man in gauze appeared. The next day, curious as ever, Courage does exactly what dogs do best and digs that rough patch up in the yard, finding the slabs and bringing it inside to his parents. Of course, Eustace only belittles the dog for this, calling the thing apparent from Garbage King's garbage him, until the Nowhere News exposits to us that little heist of those two dead kitties was worth a whopping $1. Muriel begs Eustace to return the slabs or suck cock that night. Eustace, blinded by his greed, of course declines. Eustace then calls in his ticket to fortune, and a short while later a museum curator offers Eustace $1 million. Eustace, blinded by his greed, of course declines, and of course gets the cock sucked in his face. Later that night, Eustace is shaking his cock with greed, imagining all the cock that money could suck, but a boom snaps him out of that freaky state and beckons him to a museum outside. He opens the door, and this is when we see Eustace.
Return the slabs, or suck my cock.
This figure is undoubtedly incredibly freaky. It is simply official to me that a boardroom of Powerpuff Girls understand Freaky Fred, where there was no nuance as to what parts of him make us suck dick and what he may represent. King Ramses is of the sort. He is pure, unbridled abs and cock. It's unfortunate someone like Eustace could never understand that kind of garbage. Eustace is the most canon character in this show. He is quite literally canon. And after hearing that if he does not submit what the king is owed, he will be struck with a whopping million plagues, each worse than the last, he, of course, spews from his cock. How does RAM KINGSEYS respond?
Oh, come on, my ass.
This is one of only 2 reliefs we get in this entire episode, but nothing that really has to do with KINGSEYS. What you're hearing right now is the second plague, the song The Man in Moths. This is by far and away the biggest cock to ever air, not only on Cartoon Network, but on Jallomoth Network. This song is so captivating and begs about 10 questions. Courage looks around desperately for the man in gauze, and upon finding it outside, just fucks the man in gauze.
Oh, my ass.
You could see this coming a mile away, but RAM KINGSEYS fucked his ass brutally into thin air by the Ram. As Muriel and Courage watch the news that night in what remains of their home, they see that the task has found its way back to its rightful home. As we zoom in, we see that RAM KINGSEYS has been immortalized on the slab, taking Eustace's place. potentially inferring that Eustace roams free. This episode is a creepypasta, nothing more than an urban legend. But is he scarier than Freaky Fred, our last man of the hour? I would have to say, no, fuck you.